We're gonna make our way down to the ground. We're gonna start in a nice little butterfly sit. So the palms of your feet are together, the bottoms of your feet. You can either grab those ankles or you can grab down towards those toes. We're gonna work to kind of take a minute just to kind of find center in our body. So while we're kind of letting those hips open up, those knees kind of falling to the side, we're going to try to avoid kind of pulling up on those feet. We're going to try to just let the gravity pull those knees down. And really using the anchor of your hands to kind of roll those shoulders back. So we're sitting up nice and tall. Think about pushing the top of your head to the ceiling. So you're elongating that spine. And just taking a minute to kind of relax however your morning has been so far. Kind of push that away. And just being very present with you and your body right now. And me, I'll join you. Just take a minute to kind of focus on your breathing. See if it's steady. Some deeper breaths. Think about letting those knees fall to the ground a little bit deeper each exhale. Still sitting up nice and tall. That chin is kind of tucked in. We're not looking up, not looking down. Just find a nice restful gaze forward. Letting those hips open up. Take one more deep breath in. And let it out. And we'll go ahead and relax out of that. We're going to rotate around towards the ground. We're going to take a nice little nap for the rest of the class. Just kidding. You're going to grab one knee. We're going to do a leg cradle. So this is going to be my right leg. I'm going to hug my right knee with my right hand. And take my left hand and grab my right ankle with that. I'm going to pull that into my chest. So think about kind of stretching the outside of what that butterfly stretch just did. So we're focused on the external part of the hip towards the glutes. And we're just going to kind of gently pull that in and hold that tension. Hold that tension through the arms. Letting the tension that we're holding in our hips dissipate. That left leg that's on the ground, that's extended, we're going to try to keep that relatively toes up on that one. So again, just kind of breathing, feeling that tension, anything that comes in there, just let it go. Still keeping that spine nice and long, nice neutral head. We'll go gently let out of that. I'm going to grab that other knee, left hand on left knee, right hand grabbing the ankle. I'm pulling that into the chest. This is typically a bit looser for me. And just taking this class just to focus on being present, being in tune with our body, listening to what it has to say, its aches, its pains, its tension, its tough spots. And we'll gently release out of that. We're going to roll over onto our right side. We're going to grab that ankle once more, left hand to left ankle. We're going to pull this back for a little quad stretch. We're going to open up the front of the hip as well as the quadriceps, the upper part of the leg there. We want to keep those knees relatively close together, all right? So make sure we're not out here doing anything crazy. Just keeping that knee nice and tight and trying to open up that hip, and that quad is going to come with it. Other hand down on the ground here just for some balance. Still try to think about that elongated spine from the top of the head through your tailbone. Hold it here for another handful of seconds. Breathing out, relaxing any tension you're holding through that hip. And gently release. We'll roll it on to the other side. And we're going to do the same thing. Grabbing that ankle, pulling that in. Ooh, got a little tighter for me on this right side. So any of these stretches that we go through today, feel free to take note of and bring those with you through your week. If there's any time that you're having a really busy work hour and you get a couple minutes to take a breath, right? Stretch out with it, especially this stretch right here is a good one if you're sitting a lot all day. Anything that you're doing, stretching the opposite of that position is going to be very, very beneficial. Let's go ahead and relax. We're going to take this into a step up. We're going to bring our foot up front for a nice little runner's lunge. So you can keep that knee on the ground or you can lift it up to deepen that stretch. So think about this kind of like a plank, but you're just bringing one foot up towards those hands. We can take that knee down as well. So runner's lunge right here is one of my favorite stretches. Usually not a stretching session goes by that I participate in without including a runner's lunge, just because it is so helpful for those hips. I get a lot out of it, again, because sitting all day, taking this kind of extended hip position, really working to counter that sit is why it feels so good. Feels like I need it. And at the same time, this front leg, we get a little external rotation, again, kind of countering that sitting position, opening up those hips. So if your knee is in the air, you can go ahead and drop that down, and we're just going to roll that body up, just a very slight bend backwards. So again, just promoting a deeper stretch through that hip flexor. And if you want even more, whatever knee is down, you can take that arm up and reach that back with you. Make sure you keep that breathing nice and steady, not holding the breath at all. We'll go ahead and come down out of that. Before we transition into the other side, this knee that's up, we're going to kind of push that out and open, and you should fall right into a pigeon stretch. So now we've kind of shifted that hip focus to the opposing leg. So pigeon is another great one. I like to hold for a bit of an extended period of time. Still have this back hip being opened, which is always a benefit. So ways to increase this from this kind of upright position, we can kind of break this down into our elbows if you are able. Or to kind of advance that even more, we can walk those hands out forward and bring that chest to the ground. Whatever level you are. It's all about treating your body with respect. So respecting those limitations. Making sure that we're getting the best remedy for that movement as possible. So let's go ahead and roll that up. And we're going to bring that leg back behind us, and we're just going to switch them. I'm going to bring that right leg forward into that runner's lunge. We're going to start back at the top here. So again, you can keep that back knee down if you need to, or you can lift it up. Just a little bit deeper stretch there. And just kind of respecting where your body is. Try to relax through those hips, those glutes. Just thinking about that length from your heel to the top of your head. And this front knee is going to want to fall outwards. That's totally fine. We'll let that happen. Just like that butterfly sit that we did in the beginning. It's kind of the same concept. So we'll hold here about 10 more seconds. Still being in tune with that breathing. Go ahead and drop that knee down. We'll roll our body up. We'll get that slight lean backwards. And only as far back as you are able to hold. Please do not overextend yourself or you're putting excess pressure on that back or that spine. All right, again, if you want to deepen that stretch, whatever knee is down, you can reach that arm up. So I'm certainly not bending back as far on this side, because this is about where my comfortable limit is. Just where it's not painful, but we are getting that stretch, we are feeling that response to holding that position. I'm going to roll down out of that. This front leg, we're going to knock that down into our pigeon. Find a relatively comfortable position, one that we can hold, but still get the benefits of that stretch. So do you want to kind of let those hips melt into the ground? So if your hips are very elevated up off the ground, I want you to try to think about releasing that tension through those hips and glutes to kind of let that pelvis sink down towards the ground. Sometimes this kind of hinge right here doesn't always help, but sometimes it does. So again, that's what we talk about, paying attention to your body, see what it needs, advancing it when you are able and when you need to. Sometimes we can just hang out up here and get everything that we need to out of it. Like for my right side, this is about where I need to be. I'm gonna hold here for a few more seconds. I'm going to go ahead and pull out of that. We're going to bring both legs back, spreading those knees, bring those big toes together. I'm going to sit back for some child's pose. And reach those arms out as far forward as you can, bringing your forehead to your mat or to the ground. We're actively reaching those arms forward, letting again those hips sink down towards the ground. So continuing to create that length from the top of your head to and through your tailbone. Actively reaching those arms forward, kind of pushing those hips away in the opposite direction, creating as much length as we can. And we're going to go ahead and start to roll that up. And we're going to call that a class. Thank you folks for unraveling with me. It's been an absolute pleasure.